Wow. Hello, good afternoon. Hi, Jean-Pascal.
Hi.
Hi, everyone. Well, look at this. This is a full house. So thank you, everyone, for being here so numerous. And thank you to our customers and partners today. And thank you for being part of this vibrant experience makers community. So here we're gonna talk about KPN in a minute, and I'm gonna introduce you, Jean-Pascal. But do I need to introduce KPN? Actually, I think everyone knows KPN, but just a couple of facts. KPN, 150-year-old company, right? Leading telco and IT service providers in the Netherlands and also active in other parts of Europe. Fixed mobile for telephony, data, and television. You are serving both private customers and business users. I know you are also big on sustainability and you are quite advanced on that. Congrats, that is great.
You.
But I know that something striking is that you made in your mission statement is to make the Netherlands the world's best connected country. And I'm sure to achieve that, you are putting the customer focus really at the... I know it's something that's close to your heart. So let me introduce you, Jean-Pascal. We are the Chief Consumer Officer. We just mentioned that. But since this is make it personal today, maybe a few words about yourself. What got you to KPN and take this challenge?
Yeah. So first of all, good afternoon. I had the opportunity in the last years to travel a lot and to work in many countries and many different telcos, from incumbent to challengers, very successful or not successful at all. And suddenly got this opportunity to talk about what we can do with KPN. And KPN, as many people know here, is a very old, respected brand in the country, which is quite attractive, and also performing in many, many points. The real thing is that the passion of KPN is really about developing the future for the country by deploying this today fiber, which is the next generation of connectivity. And so it's really interesting to join a company which has a vision for a very long term, is able to invest billions to build that for a country, to connect every single citizen to that connectivity and that future that you guys are preparing in terms of experience, and as really indeed, as you mentioned, a very strong point of view about sustainability and privacy. So a good set of values that is interesting in a company.
And we know each other now quite well. I know you're a competitive guy as well. You like challenges, and telco is a super competitive market by nature, right? And so in that context, putting the customer experience and accelerating the digitization has been probably, top of mind for you. I know you did that in a way where you wanted also to kind of rally all the sub-brands under the umbrella of the KPN brand as well, which is strong. So maybe can you tell us a bit about the journey and the rationale about that acceleration of the digitization for the consumer part of the business?
Yeah, so for us, we're a service company, like some of you. Customer experience is in fact what we sell. We don't have another product really to sell to customers other than the experience there with our services. So as a service company, you have to think about customer experience, and obviously you have to also take into account the difference between the different customers. So we have the arrogance or the desire to be able to serve at least half of the country. And so when you serve half of a country in terms of every minute, every day, you all have somewhere in your pocket a phone or in your hands, I don't know. You will probably have internet at home. You watch television, you subscribe to Netflix or other products. So we are there every minute. And obviously, we all have different needs. And again, if you serve half the population, you have to be segmented in the way you approach customers. And the service that you offer needs to be personalized. So it's a really strong case for us to do that. Behind that, another benefit, which is really internal business benefit, is that if you're able to segment your service, you're also able to segment your cost. And that's something which is also a benefit to the profit of your company and the ability to be innovative and to invest more.
So you put really customer experience at the center of the strategy, and through customer experience, we touched really, I think, Mathieu, on his personalization at scale, which is a major challenge to have individual customer journeys. In a way, you approached it from day one. You wanted to make sure you capture those lifetime moment that matters for your customers, right? And I think you were extremely concrete in the way you approached this at the beginning, based on use cases. And the first use case that I remember you mentioned to me was the moving house journey, which is potentially, if you don't do something about it, an opportunity to churn in your business, right? Yeah. So it would be interesting to share maybe how you approached this and how you rallied the team and how did you manage that first initiative?
So in our business, when the customer change address, it's one of the key moments where something good or bad can happen, good or bad from our perspective. So indeed, you might, as a customer, find a better connectivity with KPN, which in this case is wonderful. You might also find something which is not as good as what you have where you live today. And that then will start to have questions about, should I stay, should I change, what should I do? So for us in our management, lifecycle management, it's an extremely important moment. And obviously it's quite difficult to manage because you don't know exactly who is going to move and when, but you would like to make it quite personalized. And the team then approached it with starting to, with the collaboration we have with Adobe, to try to personalize the environment that the customer will see in this interaction with KPN. So from the moment you're flagged as a potential mover, which means probably you've been browsing a page which explains how to do it or some other interaction, so then you will be identified as a potential mover and your environment is going to change. So instead of seeing promotions for products, you will see direct links to how to make your move easier. Your app environment will change. So when you will launch the app, what you will see is not about buying a new product, it's about finalizing your move in the best way. So all these things in real time can now be adapted and changed, which is a first kind of proof point about how we can personalize very well a quite complicated journey.
And I think what was striking when we started the journey a few years ago now together is I think your vision was really crystal clear on leading the pack in terms of data, coming from an environment which is quite complex. I think everyone shared the challenge today of fragmented data, but you wanted to really lead the way there and leverage also the real-time capabilities. And that led you to be one of the early adopters of our technology, real-time CDP, which was a bold move, and we thank you for that because you showed the way. Maybe you could share a little bit how did you approach that with the team as well? And how did you leave that move from having those disparate data everywhere, and you got the ability to stitch them and get to the goal of having a 360-degree view of your customer, right?
Yeah, so 360-degree, not there yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we, as many of other companies, we have an extremely old legacy of systems. KPN is a company that grew by itself, but also by acquisition and by merging with other companies, which means that 4 years ago, the team were managing many different systems, CRM platforms, online platforms. And so as you mentioned earlier, we simplified a lot of that. We're not there yet to the 360-degree, but the next step is going to be to stitch together online and offline data, which you saw, we saw it in the example here. So to make sure that today we have a very good understanding of what happens offline. We have also a very good understanding of what happens online. We now need to merge these two data and make sure that we can be more relevant with customers based on that. So if you come back to the move example, we would be able to also to merge data that we acquired. And why wait for a customer to signal that he's moving if you know through other data that this is going to happen? So you cannot be just repairing or improving the journey, but prepare it and be proactive. So that's really the next step for us on the 360-degree.
Clear. So when we look at the way you utilize data, we are convinced that we are at the pivotal moment on the market today. We see across Europe, the gap increasing between the leaders and the laggards in terms of customer experience and taking that journey. You're definitely again, leading the pack there. Could you maybe share for the audience a bit more like the learnings along the way with your teams? And for you, how do you intend to scale that to the next level and what the future looks like in terms of customer experience from a KPN standpoint?
Yeah. So future for us is to move a bit from this famous next best offer, which is mostly a commercial transaction, to the next best service or next best experience.
Right.
And that means that we need to move from predicting who needs to receive which offer in which context to also what kind of service intervention we should proactively prepare for customers based on the data we collect. So, for example, to be more tangible, we know based on modems installed in your homes, based on Wi-Fi interaction, based on TV consumption, that potential hardware is going to not be performing at the right level. There is still obviously a question about consent because we're not allowed to use that in one-to-one relationship. But we know today if we should proactively change your equipment before it fails. And so rather than to be waiting for customers to call us or to contact us and to complain, we are today, in data-wise, able to predict what's going to happen into a household in terms of equipment and being able to then intervene if the customer give consent to propose a change or an adaptation to the product. So that's really the evolution where we need to go from just being extremely commercial about what we saw earlier was mostly commercial. We need to go into something which is also more service-based, and because that's the loyalty of the customer. So we need to build that now.
Super exciting. Looking forward to be part of that journey together. Which leads me to talk about also the partnership. I think at Adobe, we tend to become a mission-critical business partner for all of you. Hopefully, if we do things right together, we have the ability to change the game and impact top line and bottom line. Maybe it would be interesting for you to share. There's been over 2 years journey together. What are your thoughts on the partnership with Adobe, and what are you expecting from such a mission-critical partner?
So obviously we started 2 years ago, so it was kind of, we knew together what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that it was quite easy to do.
Yeah.
During the implementation, during the stage of a different stage of the project, we obviously had some better moments and some more tough moments together with things that were sometimes very easy and sometimes complicated.
It's the life of a project, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And so what was, I think, remarkable, and that's really due to, I think he's in the room, Gijs' team, who is leading our data and personalization team, commitment on each side and getting the team from Adobe and the team of KPN together, really convinced that and committed to delivering that project. So we went through tough moments, but we never felt as a client that there was a potential risk from Adobe's side to leave it there and to not comply with what we wanted to achieve. So sometimes it was fast, sometimes complicated, but that's, as you say, it's a project. So I think what we expected and which is happening is this strong commitment we feel from Adobe to make this happen and discover it with us, because sometimes the discovery we do together in terms of how do we develop these solutions.
Absolutely, and that's an opportunity for me to thank you again for the partnership. Something to mention, which for me is an absolute key success factor, is the commitment from the top of the organization, from a board member like yourself. Your drive into this has been absolutely key. And building the relationship at all levels of the organization is also something, the trust element is something we don't take for granted. So really appreciate that. Maybe to finish on the last point, which is the theme of today, right? A more personal digital economy made by you. Can you comment on what this means for KPN, made by you, and how do you empower your organization to basically create and drive relevant, customized experiences?
So yeah, we started the journey with making sure that we shared management level the importance of the personalization, segmentation, because it's not always obvious, right? That you want to go into a journey in which you're going to offer very different products and pricing and experience to different customers, because it sounds maybe unfair. But so we first had to do that. And then we're lucky, again, I come back on Gijs, but his team has been extremely fundamental into pushing this project across the organization, not just in the collaboration. Yep. And we didn't take it as an IT project. It's really a business project, which has a P&L and a desire for us to achieve some performance. And so I think this was really key. The evolution now is that with Gijs' team, we are able to measure, in fact, the customer journey. So we have identified the core customer journey of a customer. We just mentioned one with Move. There are many others. And we are able to measure the effort score and the NPS of the customer per journey, as well as the cost. And so we are able to relate these different components and to measure every month how good we perform and how good we improve in these different journeys. So that's really where we start now the management of the customer experience as a business topic.
Super cool. Jean-Pascal, it's already the end. So I feel like we could talk about this for hours, but it's time. So thank you so much for your insight. Thank you for the partnership. We really appreciate it, and looking forward to the next step of the journey. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, well, speaking of highly relevant customer experiences, I'm in a moving house journey currently. And I'm getting the sense that KPN knows what they're doing and therefore know what my needs are. A tailor-made offer, a transition without any fuss, smooth installation, all in the moment when I need it. And man, I can't live one day without reliable internet, so I'm happy that they're aware that I'm working from home and they take that seriously. I think I can trust that KPN will arrange this properly, but KPN, how will you take steps in the future and know how to grow with me as life happens and my needs change?
Should I answer to that? Okay. Should. Thank you for the question. So how do we prepare the future, and how we make sure that we answer to customers in the future needs? First of all, as you probably know, we are deploying a fiber across the country. That means that we are enabling every household in the country to be kind of future-proof for the next 20, 50 years in terms of technology, bandwidth, and a responsive answer on every single house. So that's the first way that we enable that future, and we are sure that whatever the needs will be in the future, we will be able to answer to that. And also, our industry has been evolving, and as you know, we started with mostly connectivity, and connectivity remains the core of our business. But we evolved as a company, like many other telcos, we evolved into other products and other categories, like, for example, television. When television became IP, we started to sell television, and then OTT, and then gaming. And so the future will be smart homes and cybersecurity and other products that we are going to put together on the core of the connectivity. But I'm too long here, so I'm going to leave it there.
No,
I
but
see the counter telling me, stop it here.
It's great to hear. Thank you, Jean-Pascal, to hear how you keep up with all the changes that people may encounter. And thank you for sharing your insights with us, Jean-Pascal and Luc.
Cheers.
Thank you very much.